A very good morning to all of you who are joining us from India, and warm greetings to all of you who are joining us from other parts of the world. It is my great privilege, pleasure, and honor to be with all of you once again for our Instagram live session. Our Instagram community is about meaningful and deep conversations in a way that we can all feel empowered to live a better life. Our posts on this account, our videos, our guests whom we invite to speak in these conversations and discussions, in fact, even our memes at times, very occasionally I post memes, but even the memes are meant for this one purpose, that we all feel empowered to live a better life. And to this effect, we had Rujuta Divekar come and talk to us about boosting our physical fitness and our physical wellness, boosting immunity in the time of this COVID crisis. We had Mr. Boman Irani, the Bollywood actor, come and speak to us about boosting the quality of our relationships. And today we have a special guest whom we'll be inviting very soon to join us live to talk to us about boosting our positive attitude. But I'm really grateful that all of you have joined us. Mahesh, thank you for joining us. Aishwarya Tripathi, Hare Krishna, Soren Mana, very, very happy. Hi, Balu Yadgiri, very happy to have you with us. In Mali, Divya Nair, Priyank Kashyap, Ashley Motin, very, very glad that you've joined us this morning. Ruchir, thank you for joining us. Singvi, Bhima Shankar, Arundi Keshar, Shirish Gire Punje, Rohan, very glad that you've taken your time out and have joined us for this conversation this morning. And for those of you who are joining from other parts of the world, whatever time zone you're in, greetings to you and thank you for joining again. A man was once walking on a road and he passed by under a tree and a bird passed on his head. When the stuff from the bird fell on his head, the man looked up towards the sky and said, "Thank God, elephants don't fly." If elephants would fly, you can imagine when a flying elephant would pass. If a bird passes, the stuff probably comes on the head, but if a flying elephant passes, you're bathed in the stuff. Now, to me, it's a great way to look at things positively, but to me, positive attitude is not so much about just adjustment of thoughts, because you still have the stuff on your head to deal with. You can say, thank God elephants don't fly, but at the same time you have the stuff and you need to deal with the stuff that's fallen on your head, the stuff that the bird has blessed you with, and which is precisely why, to me, positive attitude is not just about adjustment of thoughts. Positive attitude is about how do we deal with the stuff that's still on our head. When that stuff is still on our head, what do we do? Are we able to smile? Are we able to be grateful? Are we able to see the silver lining around the cloud? Or are we cribbing? Are we complaining? Are we negative? Positive attitude is a much deeper aspect of our internal systems, which helps us to deal with the stuff that we are going through with great amount of inner strength and fortitude. Which is precisely why we all go through so many challenges, right? Each of us has our difficulties, our problems to solve, issues to handle, and so many challenges to fight and face, battles to win, so much going on in our lives. So how in that situation do we remain positive? How do we look for an opportunity in a calamity? How do we have the grit, the determination to stand strong in the middle of all what we are going through? And in order to speak about this, we're going to invite a very special guest this morning, Mr. Nick Santanastasso, who was born with a very, very... I'm going to first try and get him here, and then I will talk a little bit about him, and then we can start our conversation. Just give me a minute. Yes, here we go. Okay, give me a moment there. Nick. Give me a moment as Nick comes online with us, and then we will. Yeah, here we go. Yes, just waiting for Nick to come online. Yes. Great, here we have.
Hello, brother.
Hi, bro. How are you doing?
I'm
Such
doing
a
great. How
pleasure.
are you?
Great, thank you. Such a pleasure to see you here on this in this live conversation, and thank you for joining all the way from Vegas, right, Nevada?
Yeah, we're in Vegas.
Yes, and it's what, 10:30, quarter to 11 now for you there?
Yeah, 10:30 at night.
10:30 at night. So thank you so much for joining us all the way from there. So as I was mentioning to you, Nick is a very special person, born with a very rare medical condition called the Hanhart syndrome. And I've heard him say that there's only about 12 people in the world he knows that have had this syndrome. And out of the 12 people, 8 people have died. Only 4 surviving people, out of which Nick is one. And Hanhart syndrome is about being born with, I suppose, underdeveloped limbs or weaker organs, as you once mentioned, Nick,
Yes.
or probably with no limbs. And Nick was born with no legs, I suppose, no legs and just one arm with one finger on. Yeah. And despite this condition, when you start hearing what Nick has to say, you will be bathed in a stream of positivity. This gentleman has not allowed the disadvantaged situation that came to him at birth to overcome him. Instead, he chose to overcome the situation that he was born in. So Nick is a successful entrepreneur, runs a business. He, in school, I suppose he was also into wrestling, despite his physical condition. He is into bodybuilding and has gone to bodybuilding competitions, has written a book as an author. The book is called From Being a Victor to Being a From Being a Victim to Being a Victor. He is an internet sensation with thousands of people following him. Has spoken with Tony Robbins and likes of Deepak Chopra on stage, motivating thousands and millions of people out there. Nick is an absolute inspiration. So we want to now take this opportunity to hear from Nick about the journey of his life and how has he overcome the difficulty that he was born with. So Nick, my first question to you is, when we are born in a certain situation, everybody's born with something. Some people are privileged to born in certain ways. And some people, like rare people like yourself, you said only 4 now, were born in a disadvantaged situation, right? I've always thought that there are people who believe in us, people who support us, our family, our friends, who help us overcome the challenge that we go through. So I wanted to kind of get an insight on that from you in terms of how your family or how your friends have been like that solid support, in terms of overcoming this challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I was born, first off, when I was born, the doctors handed over a list to my parents. And, that list said, your son will never be able to feed himself. Your son will never be able to dress himself. Your son will basically be a big baby for the rest of his life. And my parents, thankfully, my parents made that decision, and they threw that list out and said, we're not going to let you put those limiting beliefs on my child. We're going to see what my child's truly capable of doing. And so that was the first step, right? Is my parents not listening to what the limiting beliefs that the doctors told them. But from an early age, my parents sat me down and they said, you're born with no legs and one arm, and it's not going to change. And the world around you isn't going to change at all. And so that means that you have to adapt each and everything your way, Nick's way, right? And so, as parents, we're cultivating the kids' mindset. You're cultivating the kids' mindsets through your actions, through your words, the way you answer the phone, the way you drive in the car. Like, whether you think the kids are listening, they're always watching, right?
Even from simple things like putting your clothes on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was the first challenge that they gave me, was they put my clothes in front of me and they said, all right, Nick, let's try to figure it out. And they wouldn't do it for me, and they give me verbal suggestions, but they let me go through the motions and fall down and get back up. And there was 2 things that they were doing during that time. The first thing was they were getting me comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's the thing. There's so many, there's so many of the times that people run away from discomfort. The reason being is because they're not used to it. And so it's uncomfortable for them and they don't like it. But really, that's where, the most growth comes from, uncomfortable situations. And the second thing that they were doing was they were getting my brain programmed to be solution oriented. And so
Mm.
instead of reacting to problems, instead of reacting to things and reacting to the challenges, they got my brain in this pattern of, okay, how? How am I
Mm.
going to put my clothes on, or how am I going to
Correct.
make it a little bit easier? And
Correct.
they put me in a high chair with some food there, and they say, Nick, figure it out. Try to feed yourself. And so
Yeah.
that's one of the most powerful things as humans, entrepreneurs, but humans in general, that we can be is solution oriented rather than reacting to problem. You
Correct.
get your brain in this motion of, what's the solution? How can I overcome? Do I go left, right, over? Which way?
Yes. That's amazing. That's incredible, isn't it? The 2 points that Nick has suggested is incredible what his parents taught him. A, start being comfortable with being uncomfortable. If we cannot be comfortable in being uncomfortable, there's no growth at all. If we remain in our comfort zones and if we just remain in the situation that we are in, there's no question of growth. So discomfort is a part of growth, and we have to become comfortable accepting that discomfort. Is that right, Rick?
Yes.
And then the second thing that he mentioned was also an amazing thing, that we have to start being solution oriented. Often our minds are so focused on the problem that we forget that we have the ability in us to solve the problem. Just
Yeah.
as much as the physical body can heal itself, even our mental attitudes can heal themselves. There is a natural system within us for healing. We only think about our physical wounds being healed, but even our internal wounds can be healed because it's a system that we have been given to deal with them. Sometimes people say, isn't it? There are people who look for a problem in every solution, and there are people who look for a solution in every problem. So I
Yeah.
see Nick as someone who sees for solutions and problems, and it came from his parents and the upbringing. They just put him to himself and allowed him to do things in a way that he can grow. But thank you very much, Nick, for those two beautiful insights, and I'm sure our audience is going to love them, and they will take these two takeaway messages for their growth from this morning's discussion.
Yeah.
Now, you know what happens a lot of times is I get messages on our social media platforms where people talk about they're being bald, or they're balding, they're losing their hair, or they get things like alopecia areata, or sometimes they're huge and big in size, they're overweight, or sometimes they're not very good looking, or sometimes here in India there's a lot of there's things like being of a certain complexion in order to look good, which is not the right thing to do anyways. Beauty has less to do with the color of your skin and complexion, but people have these complexes, you know people have these complexes, and they fear being ridiculed, they fear being mocked, they fear not being accepted. And I think one of the reasons is lack of self-acceptance. you know when you're not able to
Absolutely.
accept yourself, you're not going to be accepted by anybody else. And who better an example than you, Nick, that in a situation that you were in when you ventured out of your home into your friends, into the society, into the school. I don't know how you felt. I don't know what people said. I don't know whether they ridiculed you, mocked you. How did you feel at that point of time? And what did you do to accept yourself? I would really love you to speak a little
Yeah.
more on this, because it's a big problem in the world today. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share a story.
Yeah.
One of the first moments for me, that was real negative that comes to mind was, I was outside at recess. I was probably a third grader, and my friends were playing kickball. And you're probably like, Nick, how do you play kickball? You have no legs. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
would, have someone kick the ball for me, and I'd run around or hop around the bases. And someone kicked the ball, and I went running, and I hit first base, I hit second base, I hit third base, and I came home, and I slid into home. And I'm standing in between the pitcher and the catcher, and the catcher goes to the pitcher, how are you going to let a cripple score on you? And I'm a third grader, right? And it's the first time I've heard this word, and I
Oh my
know it's not
gosh.
a positive word, right?
Yes.
And so it's my first taste of the why me, the victim
Mm-hmm.
mentality, the
Oh,
why do
okay.
kids have to make fun of me? Why do
Mm-hmm.
I have to be born like this? Why do I have to go
Mm-hmm.
through these challenges?
Mm-hmm.
And so the technique that I want to get into is the power of reframing. And what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by reframing is, I could have a tragic event happen in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
you can have the same tragic event happen in your life. You can see
Mm-hmm.
all the good, I can see all the bad. It's the meaning we attach behind that event,
Correct.
right? And so that brought me into another moment where I was in middle school, and I was on the bus, and there was a girl to the left of me, and she was making fun of everyone on the bus. And she looked at me and she said, Nick, I don't even have to start with you. You're already too messed up anyway. Look at you.
Oh my gosh.
And not only was that coming from another human being, but that was coming from a female. And to be fully transparent, females were one of my biggest suicidal triggers, because as humans, we crave love. And I felt like I didn't receive the love, you know, that my friends got from girls or my girlfriends got from guys. I just felt like I didn't receive that love. And so what I'm trying to get here is, I'm 23 years old. For the majority of my life, I thought being born with no legs and one arm was the most disgusting thing about me, was the biggest curse about me, until I changed the story behind my body. And this is how I did it. I realized that if a girl or a human being doesn't want to further a connection with me, doesn't want to love on me, doesn't want to do with me because of physical differences, well, then maybe this physical differences is actually working for me, and it's filtering out the type of humans that I don't want in my life anyway.
Wow. Wow.
It's an authentic filter. It's actually working for me. If someone doesn't like me, or if someone doesn't like you, if someone doesn't want to connect with you because the way you look, there's
Correct.
the door.
Correct.
That's life filtering out that person, because that's not the type of person you want in your life
Absolutely.
anyway. So maybe your looks that you didn't think were so good, or maybe your complexion that you didn't think were so good, is
Correct.
actually filtering out the non-authentic people that are just
Absolutely.
going to love you, because we want to attract people that truly love us for us, right? And
Correct.
so maybe those things that you thought were problems are actually your biggest gifts.
Correct. Correct. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. What an attitude, Nick. It's an attitude that you've developed over a period of time, isn't it? Having
It's a
gone
muscle.
through all of this, it's a muscle. The attitude muscle, the brain muscle, the mind muscle that you've worked out. Apart from the bodybuilding and working out your physical muscles, you have worked out your mental muscles to develop that attitude and build that strength from within, isn't it? Beautifully said. And I always say, you know, bad attitudes are like flat tires. You can't move on until you change them.
I like
You
it.
know, you
That's
can
very
only
good.
you can only move on in your journey if you change a flat tire, and bad attitudes are flat tires. And Nick, I'm sure, like he mentioned, had that flat tire in his life which he decided to change. And the two takeaways he's given us from this is, number one, reframing our mind. What do you want to see? Two people are in the same situation, right? How are you looking at that situation? And that's going to decide how you're going to be, whether you want to make your life bitter or you want to make your life better out of it. So you can be bitter, cribbing about it, or you can be better, developing out of it. And the second thing that was absolutely spot on, and I really believe in it a lot, is that I like that word, Nick, you used. You know, people like these who ridicule us, mock us, or do not accept us for, or body shame us for who we are externally. These people act like an authentic filter. I love that phrase. They're like an authentic filter where we kind of, you know, filtering out those people. We don't want to be surrounded by people who accept us for what we are externally and not for who we are as persons and as human beings. So such beautiful insights again, Nick. Thank you for sharing those. Yeah.
And that's also focus, right? The power of
Yes.
focus. You know, like,
Correct.
what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the things that you can't control? Especially now
Correct.
with COVID-19, right?
Correct.
It's a very scary thing, but are you focusing on all the things you can't control, or are you
Yes.
focusing on all the things you can control, as well as being conscious of your language? And what I
Correct.
mean by that is, you know, like, not only can't is disempowering, but it
Mm-hmm.
blocks your brain from stimulating solutions. You're already
Correct.
shooting yourself in the foot, per se, if you're using
Correct.
that kind of language, right? And so
Yes.
it's how can I? Or what's even more powerful than your how is your why. Why do you get
Yes.
up every day? Or why do
Yes.
you do the things you do every day? Because if the why is strong enough, the how will reveal itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if the why is strong, the purpose is strong, the meaning is strong, the how will come forth. And so which basically means to keep constantly, uh, keep yourself constantly in tune with, in sync with your inner purpose, right? The why, isn't
Yeah.
it? So if I might want to ask you, what's your why, Nick? In the whole situation that you are in, you know, you now come up to be an entrepreneur. You're now, and you are a model. You know, Nick is a model, a popular model, and a bodybuilder, a motivational speaker. What's your why? What's your purpose? Like, didn't Mark Twain say that there are two most important days in your life? The
The day you're
first is
born.
the day you were born,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
second is the day you found out why. So, what's your why, and how did you find it? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for everyone out there, before I get into mine, I think we find our why by trying things. because you will never know what fills you up. You will never know what fulfills you if you don't try a bunch of things, right?
Correct.
And then once you do something and it makes you feel good inside, that little fuzzy feeling of fulfillment, which we're all chasing, then
Correct.
do more of that, right? Do more of those things. And so, I always say there's two ways that I can look at my life.
Mm-hmm.
I can look at my life first, that I'm a freak accident, I don't know why I'm here, and who knows. Or I can look at it as I was strategically put here in this unique body to be a light in the world in so much darkness.
Correct.
So which one's more empowering? And so I tend to focus on the one that I was strategically put here by a higher power, God, the universe, whatever you believe
Yes.
in, that I was put
Yes.
here in this exact moment, in this unicorn body, right, to show people what they're truly capable of doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so, one of my statements is, right now, how can I appreciate the gift I am to myself and others,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we're all gifts to ourselves and we're all gifts to others. And so how
Mm-hmm.
can we serve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't want to waste this body.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people may look and say, oh, that's a terrible body, whatever it may be. No, this is my
Mm-hmm.
greatest gift. And so
Mm-hmm.
how can I harness it and make as much impact on this earth before I leave? Because we never know when our time's up. And so,
Sure.
my purpose is, to provide as much, I always call myself a shifter of perspectives. Motivational speaker, inspirational speaker. No, I want to shift people's perspectives and get them to look at
Correct.
the world differently. And so how can I do as much as that? And if I do as much as that, it comes back to me, whether that's financially, fulfillment, contribution, service, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And, as humans, I just want to touch on this. As humans, we're all really chasing happiness. It's
Correct.
not cars, it's not the
Sure.
houses, it's not
Sure.
money. That will give you momentarily that emotion, right?
Yes.
But there's two
Yes.
things a human needs to focus on in order to live a fulfilled life. The first is growth, the universal
Yes.
law, we're either growing or dying. And the second
Yes.
thing is contribution. And
Correct.
contribution isn't always financial. That could be
Correct.
going on Instagram Live. That could be
Correct.
giving a compliment, a hug, feeding the homeless. But
Sure.
if you do more contribution, you will suffer less. Suffering only happens when one is focused on themselves.
Correct.
If you feel
Absolutely.
helpless, become helpful and go help someone else. Because then
Absolutely.
the focus is less on you
Trips to
and more on
somebody
others.
else. Absolutely. Absolutely amazing. So that's your purpose. Your purpose is to help people shift perspectives.
Yes.
Your purpose is to help people do these two things: help them grow and help them contribute. Is that right?
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's so true. They say, so growth is so much about passion, and contribution is so much about your purpose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how do you find your passion, and how do you turn your passion into a purpose? Isn't it? So you figure out in what space do you want to grow, and then once you find out that space in which you can grow, then through that, how can you help? Well, and so beautifully put, it could be just feeding the homeless, could be just giving a hug, bringing a smile on somebody's face, or having resources that could be shared to bring light in the world, isn't it? And I remember this beautiful quote that I read, which said, growth is painful, change is painful, but there's nothing more painful than being stuck in the space that you're not meant to be, isn't it? That's the most painful experience of life, that you're just stuck and not moving, and you're stuck in the wrong place, isn't it? So my next question to you, Nick, is, was there a point of time where you felt like it's just too painful, it's just getting too much now, I think I should just quit, I don't want to continue, just getting too much? Maybe it was a failure, maybe it was some pain in your heart, something going on, or even physical pain. Right? You probably have gone through physical pain as well in your life. So was there a point you thought that this is it, and I want to quit, and I want to end it all? And if that was the situation, what did you do? And if you could break it into steps, what did you do to come out of it? Because there's a lot of people who are watching us here who go through those situations where your inspiration just goes completely out of the drains, and you just hit a rock bottom, and you say, this is it, I can't do anything in my life now. So if you can give us steps, our audience here, steps of our viewers, steps, how to break it into a formula.
First I want to touch on, humans love the feeling of progress, and what I've realized is my darkest days come from days where I'm not moving the needle forward. I'm not progressing, right? Because we love the feeling of moving forward. And so if you find yourself in a slump, if you find yourself in a rut and you can't get out of it, what can you do in that very moment that you know is going to evolve you into a better human being? Because when
Yes.
you move forward, you get a little pep in your step, you feel a little bit better, you start momentum, right? But
Correct.
we need to start that momentum by doing something positive. But also, humans do something called stacking. We stack thoughts. And so we can stack thoughts in a negative way, we can stack thoughts in a positive way. So what I mean by that is, we've all woken up on the wrong side of the bed before. Whether we woken up and we saw a text message or an email that pissed us off,
Yes.
whatever it may be.
Yes.
If you're
Yes.
not conscious of your inner dialogue and the things you're focused on, that whole day tends to be negative. You have to go to
Correct.
work pissed off that you're in traffic.
Absolutely.
It's momentum of the negative effect.
Correct.
And so what I tend to do, that if you find yourself going towards the negative, you need to start flooding your nervous system with appreciation and gratitude.
Correct.
It may be hard. It may be hard in
Yes.
that moment, but there is always something right now that you can appreciate. The fact that you woke up today, like the fact that you have a heart and it was given to you. You didn't have to work for your heart. It was given
Yes.
to you. And,
Yes.
and it beats when you go to sleep and it keeps you alive. Or the fact that you have clothes on your body, or you have people around you that love you. But the emotion of gratitude outweighs all the negative emotions. And that's why
Sure.
gratitude is so important. It's not just like la la unicorns, but gratitude and appreciation will help you live a more fulfilled life and help you focus on all the positive, because
Correct.
it's so powerful. You can't be mad and grateful, or sad and
Yes.
grateful, or anxious and grateful at the same time.
Yes.
But I want to share something to be fully transparent, that no matter the accolades, no matter how great your mindset is, that the training never stops, and there's always going to be moments that get to you. And so I'm
Correct.
23 years old, and probably a year ago I was celebrating my birthday in Miami, and maybe we went out to a club and an interaction with a female didn't go the way, or maybe she said something that was insulting. I
Yes.
started stacking these thoughts, like I got back into that pattern, and I was like, well, Nick, you're disgusting and you'll never have a girlfriend. All these things I started stacking and going into that pattern, right? Because we all have patterns.
Yes.
And I went back to the condo, and we were on like the 30th floor. And I went out onto the balcony, and I'm stacking these thoughts, and I'm in a negative way. And literally, me, this guy who has a bulletproof mindset, was thinking to himself, I wonder how long it would take for me to hit the ground if I jumped off the balcony. I wonder if I push this chair over to the balcony, that I could climb on the chair and possibly jump off. That's how fast your brain can go from positive to negative. And that's why you need to constantly be filling your brain with these techniques of reframing, the techniques of, flooding yourself with gratitude, because regardless of how mentally prepared you are, there's going to be times that get you there. And so in that moment, you also have to sit in your stuff. You have to sit in that. You got to feel that emotion, right? Feel it. Be aware of that emotion, and then ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is it really true? Am I really those things that I'm telling about myself? Because the majority of the time, it's not.
Yeah.
But see, your brain isn't designed to make you happy. That's your job. Your brain is designed to focus on your insecurities and all the negative. It's a survival brain, right? And so it's your job to catch your brain and say, no, those aren't my thoughts. I'm going to focus on the positive in my life. But it's hard. It's very hard. And we're not going to say it's easy, but you have to sit in that emotion. You got to be self-aware of that emotion, feel it, and then say, this isn't me. Let me start focusing on all the beauty I have in my life, all the things I'm grateful for. But I just wanted to share that, because someone like me, people like, this guy's mindset bulletproof. No, the training never stops, and we have to constantly be aware of our thoughts and the things that we're going through.
Correct. Thank you very much for sharing this, Nick. It means kind of really making yourself vulnerable to say this, that, despite training my mind and developing my mental muscles and my attitude to be so strong, still we have those moments, and it's a moment by moment choice, a moment by moment work in our life. It's work in progress constantly, right? And I like this concept of stacking, that we can stack thoughts, and those stacked up thoughts can make us so negative. And it's important that we move to the positives, move to the blessings that we have, move to the positive things that we have been conferred with, right? So they say that it's not the happy people who are grateful, it's the grateful people who are happy. So it's so true. It's so true that happiness is a choice that we have to make. Anger is automatic. Shutting our mouth up when we are angry is a choice we have to make. Hatred towards someone is automatic, but loving somebody is a choice we have to make. Problems are automatic. How people treat us is automatic, but happiness is a choice we have to make. And thank you so much for sharing this vulnerable moment of yours that from the 30th floor even you felt that I need to push myself down at this point because of the way I was dealt with. But I have a question on that, Nick. That's true. What you're saying is amazing, and I totally believe in it. That it's important that we shift our attention to the positives, shift our attention to the blessings. My one question to you is, when you are in that moment, you know, it's a thing that we can do proactively to build our mindset like that, and it's a thing that we can do after the mind is a little calmed down and we can bring our mind to the positives. But when we are in the moment, when things are really like that stacking is happening and we just consumed by negative emotions, right? In that particular moment, what are the three things you would suggest that our viewers to focus on and come out of that particular point and not be self-destructive?
Yeah, I'd say first step is just self-awareness, which
Mm-hmm.
is very powerful. So being aware of your emotions, being aware of the thoughts, and like how deep you're getting. And then the second, like I said, is I think you need to sit in that emotion. I think you need to feel it. Don't push it by. You need to sit there and feel it. And then third, I would say that as humans, we don't self-praise enough. I think that like the majority of people, our internal dialogue is more beating ourselves up rather than praising ourselves. And so you
Yes.
can reflect, I think third or fourth is what was a win? What was a win this past week or this today? Like what was something that you accomplished or what was an act of kindness? But go back to something that you can really say, wow, I that was good of me. That was a positive for me. But I want to know your thoughts as well, because I don't know if I can actually, I'm not very good at really breaking it down. And I'd love to hear even your process of when you're in
Yeah.
that time as well.
Yeah. You know what? Everything that you're saying is what I say as well. We are on the same page in what we say. We advise people that this is what we should do, and that advice comes from what we've done. But I often get asked this question that in the moment, I'm just feeling completely unable to do this. It's just so negativity has just consumed my mind so much that I'm unable to sit and feel that emotion. I'm unable to shift my attention to the positives. I'm unable. So what I usually say is at that point of time, I usually advise people, I tell them that pick your phone up, pick your phone up and have some quotes or some motivational things saved, which can be a trigger to your positivity, and browse through those because you're not able to do it yourself internally. Take some external help to do it. And more so, if you have a friend or a mentor or a guide whom you can just kind of call at that point of time, say, I'm just feeling completely helpless and overwhelmed. Could you kindly bring me out of the situation to a stage there when I can take charge myself? Sometimes we're just helpless and we're not able to take that charge. That's
Yeah.
what I was kind of trying to mean. And this is what I usually tell people, that it's good to, kind of call somebody who can help, which is why relationships are so important, which is why friendships are so important, because they are investments which at a certain point of time can come back to support us in a way that we can never imagine actually. So yeah, this is what I usually tell people, that we could do
Yeah.
this at
And
that
then
point.
something came to me as well is
Hmm.
you need to change your state. You need to
Correct.
get your body moving. If you get your
Yes.
body moving, whether that's,
Yes.
walking around or, doing some sit-ups and
Yes.
push-ups, that's going
Yes.
to change your physiology.
Correct.
So I
Correct.
think physiology is massive because in
Correct.
those moments, you got to look at your physiology. You're slumped over, you're
Yes.
breathing shallow, how are you really operating? And so you want to
Correct.
change your physiology and get moving, whether that's getting your
Yes.
heart rate going, because we've noticed when you, even for everyone working from home right now, I mean, a lot of people
Yes.
like take like 3 or 4 15-minute breaks of push-ups or sit-ups real
Yes.
quick or just running around, because that's going to change your state and that's going to change
Yes.
your mind.
Correct, correct. So to summarize it all, we have Nick telling us initially that we really need to feel the emotion. We need to shift our attention to positive thoughts. All of these are things that we must do when we are able to do it. When we are unable to do it, let's look at some quotes. Let's, call a person who can help us out. And Nick has also added the third thing, that let's get our body moving, because our physiology and our psychology are connected. When we go to the gym and we have a good workout, we see how confident we feel. When we had a good day where we've really kind of worked on the grind and really given our best, we know how we feel internally. So that's a brilliant suggestion, Nick, that our physiology and our psychology are conditioned, our connected, and our psychological condition also is affected by our physiological condition. So brilliant suggestion. Thank you very much, Nick. Another question I had was, you're into things like wrestling, Nick. If I would I don't know if you mind, but if you want to just show our audience what you look like fully, so people need to see what you are like and what you've done in your life, can you go? Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much I'm sorry to embarrass you in that way,
you're
but,
okay.
it just means that people need to see what you've done with your life despite what you've gone through, right? So I know that you were into wrestling and now into bodybuilding, modeling, all of these things. It's not an easy thing, especially things like bodybuilding with the particular physical condition that you are in. How do you push yourself? There's a limit that the mind puts, a certain limit that it just caps your growth, isn't it? How do you push yourself? And I have an added question to that, which is, if you could tell us 3 positive affirmations that you use for yourself. How do you push yourself? What do you tell yourself? Because it's all the self-talk, it's all mind over matter. What you tell yourself internally is what you're going to be externally, so your self-talk is so important. So what are those 3 things that you tell yourself and push yourself to give your 200% when you're in the gym, 200% when you're wrestling, 200% when you're speaking, 200% when you're writing? How do you push yourself with these affirmations, Nick?
Yeah, so I'll touch on the affirmations immediately right now. And so affirmations, right, are things that we say to ourselves. But I think what's even more powerful is incantations, and that's using your physiology, right? So, that's embodying these things, right? So mine are, I'm a force for good. I'm a student of the game. I'm kind. Abundance flows through me. I am decisive. I'm evolving as a leader. I'm becoming the man I'm meant to be. But you embody it. You change your physiology, and then you go over and again. You say, I am a force for good. I'm a student of the game. I'm kind. Abundance flows through. Your tonality changes and you really embody those words, because at first, if you're first starting off, you're not going to believe these things, right? Your mind's going to be like, I don't believe this, but you program yourself. You use your physiology and you really embody these things and you change your tonality. And so affirmations are great, but I think incantations, right? Embodying them is even more powerful. So those are some of the things that I say. But for me, the physical stuff, I push myself because I know how good it feels on the other side.
Absolutely.
I know how like we were talking about physiology, but like you said, when we have an amazing workout, you have this high. You have this
Can't agree anymore.
You feel amazing, and it's confidence. And you see, so many people are trying to seek validation from others.
Absolutely.
So many people are trying to seek the A-OK from mentors or friends or girls, whatever it may be, when you should just be investing in the relationship you have within yourself. Absolutely. And so when we work on ourselves, whether that's mentally, physically, that's when you build a whole new character. This man you see right here, I built this guy. I wasn't always like this. And I'm still building him, and you're still building yourself, right? The training never stops.
Indeed.
And so the reason why I push myself with all these physical things is because it builds confidence in me. It builds character in me. And character shapes your destiny. And so anything that I do, I want to know at the end of the day, when I put my head on the pillow, that I gave it my all. I don't want to have any regrets. And to take it a step further, when I'm on my deathbed, I want to have more remember whens than less what ifs.
Correct. Amazing. Thank you for sharing these. The difference between affirmations and incantations. Affirmations are probably just self-talk, but incantation is embodiment of that self-talk, which is an absolute part of you, right? And then thank you for sharing this as well, that the feeling of confidence that you have when you push yourself, I can tell you for sure, just when you do it right, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your workouts, whether it's your clean eating, whatever it is, when you do it right, there's just this feeling, of confidence and the feel good factor in it. So, which is why we say, right, that don't do what's easy, do what's right, because what's easy doesn't give you that feeling. for what's right, gives you that feeling. And when you get that feeling, it's such an incredible experience, like you said, to go to bed, you know, and have that peaceful sleep that I gave my best,
Yeah.
isn't it? And
No,
then you
no,
took it
no,
once,
no.
yeah,
What did they say? No stone unturned.
no stones unturned, absolutely. And you know, and you took it one step further to say that, you know, when we are on our deathbed, there's no regrets, that I lived my life giving my absolute best. And which is why I often say this, that, you know, if there's anybody who can actually, if you want to know the person who can change your life, just go into the bathroom and look at yourself in the mirror. You know, there's nobody that can change our life better than we ourselves. So thank you very much, Nick, for those inputs as well. And my next question is, what are the three things, you know, you are absolutely wary of, extremely careful of, that you know that these three things, if done or if dwelt upon, will be detrimental to my journey, to my progress, to my wholesome experience of life. And we all have those things in our lives, you know. We all have those triggers which kind of set the negative emotions rolling internally, which become like which act like roadblocks in our progress in the journey of our life. So if
Yeah.
there be those three things, what are those three things, Nick?
Yeah. So the first one is, you know, we're gonna have people, and sometimes it's hard. We're gonna have people like family and friends that aren't growing at the same rate as you, or
Yes.
don't want to grow at the same rate, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel bad because they're not growing with us. And so the
Correct.
first thing is, I'm very conscious of who I'm putting my energy into,
Correct.
right?
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Because you want to be around people that want you to elevate. You want to be people that are
Sure.
fueling you. Because a lot
Sure.
of the, and a lot of the times the hard thing is it's some of your closest family and friends that aren't really,
Yes.
you know, fueling your
Yes.
vision, or they aren't
True.
really growing. And so
True.
you have to be very conscious of the people you're hanging around. The
Correct.
second is you have to be very conscious of the things that you're consuming. You
Mm-hmm.
know, are you just scrolling through YouTube? Are you just scrolling through
Correct.
Instagram at nonsense,
Correct.
right? But are you feeding your mind? And you know, I think it was
Yes.
Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn that said, you know, the mind is a garden, and if you don't tend that garden, weeds are just going to grow, right? And
Yes.
so, especially in this time of everyone being home with the, you know,
Yes.
COVID-19, you have to
Correct.
be fueling your, you know, your mind with the right things, because right now the majority of the world isn't being productive. And so if you
Yes.
double down now, if you really, you know, really dial in on your habits and your structure when everyone else is falling apart, when all this
Correct.
clears, you're going to be ahead of the game. And so the second
Yes.
thing is being conscious of what you're consuming. And then I think
Yes.
the third is your thoughts, just being conscious of
Yes.
your thoughts. You know, like,
Yes.
am I really, like, my self-praise, like, am I beating myself up the majority of the time? Am I
Yes.
focusing on, you know, the negative things, or am I focusing on the things that I can control? It goes back to the analogy, you know, is the glass half filled or half empty? But I think the three
Yes.
things would be, I'm very conscious of the people I hang around, I'm
Yes.
very conscious of the things that I'm consuming, and I'm very
Correct.
conscious of the thoughts and the words that I speak.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing those, Nick. And they're absolutely spot on again, because the company is what we are made of, right? We can be surrounded by energy suckers or energy boosters. You
Yeah.
know, there's just people who, by being who they are, just drain us and suck us away, you know? And then we could be surrounded by energy boosters who believe in us, who are positive and who have shared the same mindset and boost our energy levels. And the second aspect as well, what are we consuming? Because diet is not just about food. Diet is about everything that we consume. As much as our food can make us strong, it's what we consume through our eyes and our ears and our nose and everything else is going to make us strong internally as well. So yes, what are we consuming during this lockdown time, during COVID-19, is very crucial and very important as well. And the third thing is the language we use, right? The language we use, what we speak, what are our thoughts, all of this kind of feeds into who we are. So thank you for sharing that, Nick. My last question to you before we conclude with one word associations is this. What is your larger dream? What's the dream that you're currently working on? And how would
Perfect.
you want to pursue that dream? Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what I've realized, speaking all around the world, you know, to thousands of people, is that there's only a small percentage of people that go to personal development seminars. There's only a
Mm-hmm.
small percentage of the world. And one of my biggest passions is music. is singing, is
Oh,
entertaining.
wow.
And as a
Wow.
kid, I didn't have the confidence to execute at the level. I didn't have the character. It just wasn't the right time. And so right now I'm actually building a studio in my house, and
Wow.
I want to create very, happy music that people like, but on a deeper level, there's going to be, a deeper message behind it.
Correct.
I had a line in one of my songs that I wrote. It says, "You see me on the street, you say, oh, he's disabled, but when we compare mindsets, now I'm the one who's able."
Ah.
So basically poetry, but in songs, right?
Yes. Yes.
I have one. It says, "The mind is the garden, so you better plant some flowers. Wean out the weeds, wean out the weeds. Let's start living through the human necessities like love, joy. Don't forget being grateful. I know life's tough. I know we all have our plates full." Like stuff like that. And so
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to create, my largest dream is in 5 years, I'll be touring mostly for music. This
Wow.
music and spread positivity in the entertainment industry, which doesn't have much
Sure.
life, because right
Sure.
now, singing and rapping, a lot of these kids are doing drugs and they're doing sorts of things.
Yes.
Their favorite rapper
Yes.
does it, right? So I want to be light in
Yes.
an industry that doesn't have much light.
Yes. Wow. Wow is the word. Please, our best wishes, our prayers, and we are all with you that
Thanks,
you
brother.
know, you just come up with this incredible content in the entertainment space and come up with these songs which are just absolutely, hip in terms of the genre, but in terms of the messaging, it's inspirational and motivation which can lift our spirits. So all the best for that, and we'll end our conversation this morning for us, and night for you now. Sorry we kept you too long, Nick.
No worries. I had a blast.
uh, the last segment is one word associations. I just ask you one word, and you, if possible, just answer back in a word. Yeah, what does this mean to you? What do these things mean to you? Yeah. So number one is body.
Body. Temple.
Temple. Wow, incredible. Family.
Everything. And it's not just blood. It's deep
Yeah.
relationships that
Yeah,
you
of
build.
course. Deep relationships, indeed. So it includes friends as well. Yes. Public speaking.
Impact.
Impact. Wow. Music.
Elevating frequencies.
Elevating frequencies. Brilliant. Life.
Mysterious.
Mysterious. Still trying to decode it, all of us, indeed. Love.
Love. It's all we really need. It's all we're really craving.
What we need, what we're craving for. Yes. Spirituality.
It's funny because the first thing that came to my mind, you said be honest, was the temples of Egypt.
Okay. Okay. God.
Universe.
Universe. Religion.
Religion. Let's see. I'd say a touchy subject.
A purpose.
Purpose. Mission statement. Mission. Your mission.
Mission. Bodybuilding.
Bodybuilding. Growth. I just think growth. Evolution. Evolving. Sculpting.
Modeling.
I go back to body image. Shaking the industry of body image.
Shaking the industry of body image. And to end with social media.
Very negative or very positive? It depends on how you use it.
Okay, very negative or very positive, depends on how you use it. Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to be able to speak with you. What an incredible conversation that was. And I hope that this conversation will inspire those who've seen it while they're live, and will watch it later when the story is put up, the live on the story section. So do watch for this, for those who haven't seen it later, our Instagram community, do check it out. Nick has given us some incredible insights, and the topic for today was boosting our positive attitude. And definitely Nick has helped us boost our positive attitudes. The tagline for our conversation today is this: Bad attitudes are like a flat tire or a punctured tire. You cannot move on unless you change it. So, guys, work on your attitude and move on in life. Thank you once again, Nick, for being with us, and wish you a good night. And to all our viewers, wish you a great day ahead. Thank you
Thank
once
you, my
again,
friend.
and bye bye. Hope to see you when I
Let's,
come to Vegas. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
and yeah, I'd love to come there and visit you as well.
Sure, please. Whenever you're in India, just give me a ping, and we will definitely be there and receive you and meet you and have an incredible conversation like this.
Thank you,
Thank you very
brother.
much. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye. 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 Thank you. Sure.